What's up, everyone, and welcome to another Hungover podcast, episode 105. Today, we're going to be talking about Disney Plus's the new streaming service from Disney called Disney Plus, and whether or not it's going to overtake Netflix eventually, perhaps. We'll also open up the conversation to streaming services as a whole, and Brotendo 12, what's up? How are you? Yes, Disney will kill Netflix. The conversation's over. The podcast is over. Brotendo answered all questions.
Right,
Thank you so much for tuning in live on twitch.tv/GGBsgood. Of course, you can be part of the conversation just like Brotendo, and you can tell us that we're wrong if that's what you're into. Otherwise, though, you can catch this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Don't forget, you can also get it on YouTube in video form at the Hungover Gaming YouTube channel. Of course, Ivan, that's all well and good, but we're gonna start our podcast out every single week in the same way by asking Ivan what he did during the week and what media did he consume and what did he drink last night.
All of these are great questions, Julian, and I have consumed a lot of Sopranos, a lot of Overwatch League.
Arrivederci.
And
Buongiorno.
A lot of D&D related stuff. In preps for my campaign starting on Monday, I've been watching a lot of D&D related YouTube videos and just preparing for that. I finished Phantom Doctrine, my first playthrough. So now I can play as an Israeli agent in Mossad and really dive into the thing.
Very cool.
I'm not going to do that. I don't think I'll touch that game ever again. I did get all 3 Witcher games for $15.
That's a great deal. It's a lot of content.
Tried to start playing the first Witcher.
I played that.
Boy, is that an old game.
That's a bad game. By 2019 standards, Witcher 1 is a bad game. I played that game for a while too. I got pretty far.
About an hour into it, maybe half an hour, and I'm already like, maybe I just watch YouTube videos that tell me what happened in The Witcher.
I put over 20 hours into that game and just gave up. I couldn't handle it. It was so bad. It's so bad.
It's really bad.
It's
really bad. The combat is bad. There's an option to only play with your mouse. There's an option.
Whoa, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Anyway.
When did Witcher come out, Yvonne? Do you know? Is asking. Also, he called you a nerd for playing D&D, and also he says he can't wait to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse on Switch because Disney Plus is going to everything.
I am a huge nerd. That's fine. I'm fine with that.
I agree. That's why I talk to you. It's the older.
The Witcher video game came out in 2007.
Okay.
It feels dated for even a 2007 game.
Yeah, I think if you go back to that era of video gaming, you'd find out that a lot of games feel a little dated. The vast majority of them.
If you hold Shift in The Witcher, the camera locks.
Why?
And so you can move your mouse around the screen.
Oh,
because they couldn't get around the fact that it's hard to click on things.
Yeah, PC gaming.
So they just locked the camera and were like, now use your mouse to point on whatever you want to click on.
PC gaming's come a long way since the 2007 days of Witcher 1. Have you tried Witcher 2? I don't know if that one got any better, but obviously Witcher 3 knocked it out of the park. Great game.
Yeah, I basically got the whole pack because it was essentially the price of The Witcher 3.
Yeah. Right.
And that's the game that I played a lot on PS4, didn't finish, and I was like, if it's on PC and I'm looking to just do a few hours of a game or whatever, The Witcher 3 is a fun game because it's 300 hours, and at the rate that I'll play it, I'll probably be finished in 3 years.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But the other, I was just, I don't know, I was intrigued because I like the story and the aesthetic of The Witcher 3. And I'm looking for a lot of like content from which I can steal material for my D&D campaign.
Well, Witcher is a great area to do that in. I would say.
The Witcher is a really great mythos. Yeah. So I was looking to just kind of steal bits and pieces of it, and so far nothing, but hopefully as I play more. I actually did get some ideas of like settings from the Netflix show Our Planet, which is a documentary that talks about the animals of the earth, and it's filmed really, really well with really high-powered cameras in a lot of very different settings. It's astounding to think about how they got these kinds of shots.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has a lot of messaging, which can feel depressing at times, because they're like, 90% of this species has been eliminated. And I'm like, oh, I'm drinking out of a plastic cup. Oh. So it makes you feel a lot while making you look at these beautiful visuals, but it's really powerful imagery, and I really enjoy looking at animals since I can't see them in their natural habitats. Never gonna see an Arabian leopard, ever.
Brotendo, don't even lie about Death Stranding getting canceled. I'm going to literally see Hideo Kojima give a talk about Death Stranding at the Tribeca Film Festival. So
which
no, it wasn't
that Death
canceled.
Stranding isn't a game. It's just a playable movie.
Norman Reedus got a baby out of his mouth. You know, that might actually happen in the game. We don't know. God damn it. No, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine. Anyway, that's basically what I had. I enjoyed a few different wines that we had from the past weekend when Julien came over.
Right.
I had that bottle of Merlot when I handmade pasta and ricotta and tomato sauce to make homemade manicotti, which was delicious. And then I had it with this nice Lamoureux Landing Merlot, which is pretty different from like a California Merlot. It's a lot lighter, which makes it, I think, more drinkable to the general populace, but it still has some of those muskier scents that you get from Merlot, earthier tones. So, in general, I had a good week. What about you?
This week I watched 2 people graduate at my school.
Congratulations.
They did really well, yeah, so I'm happy for them. Of course, they don't listen to this podcast, but why would they? Other than that, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy IX. I've gotten to almost the end of the game, which means there's going to be a mad boss rush at the end of the game where you fight like 5 bosses in a row. So I'm looking forward to that. Should be fun. I want to beat that game before I start playing Final Fantasy X, because I am a real big weeb. And also, they're coming out on Switch, so I have to, that's the only, feasibly, I think it's the only place I'm going to have time to play a long RPG, JRPG such as these games. So I think it's a really good place to put our JRPGs on handhelds, because I think that's where they thrive, I think, personally, or at least for adults anyways, who have jobs and things. Brotendo, what are you talking about? Norman looks like that guy that was in a canceled Silent Hills. Lol. Very funny, Brotendo. Anyways, other than that, I'm excited because Hideo Kojima and Norman Reedus are going to have a panel at the Tribeca Film Festival, and they're going to discuss video games and movies and things like that, specifically from the context of Death Stranding, which is Hideo Kojima's new game. It should come out like in the next 20 years, hopefully, on PlayStation 7. We'll see.
Don't have your hopes up.
Yeah, you're right. It's coming out on PlayStation 8. You're right. So anyways, I got tickets to go see that. I've also never gone to the Tribeca Film Festival, so I'm excited to do that. And another thing that's going to happen next week, my week was boring, basically is what I'm saying. So I'm talking about next week. Next week, I'm also going to... Well, that's happening in 2 weeks, the Kojima talk. And then next week, I'm going to go to a panel discussion about the benefits of going green in the kitchen, a professional kitchen, that is, at my upcoming school, the International Culinary Center in New York City. So I hope to learn a lot there, maybe make some connections if I can, and hopefully, that'll work out for me. So I'm gonna go to that and be, a hippie in the kitchen. No, I think there are a lot of opportunities there. Maybe from a scientific standpoint, which I study chemistry as it is now. So, and I should be graduating in May. So hopefully I can learn some things, basically what scientists are doing, or maybe just engineers, or maybe just chefs in general, what they're doing to mitigate their carbon footprint in the kitchen. So hopefully I can learn about that. Otherwise, though, I haven't really done anything. I haven't drank anything. I'm waiting until I graduate to drink. It's just how it's going to be.
Good on you.
I feel like a recovering alcoholic, too. You're slowing being sold on Cyberpunk, Rotenda? I think I was pretty much sold when I saw that demo. I thought it looked pretty cool. And I'm looking forward to that game. We'll see when it comes out. That is also a game that's probably going to come out in 2050. But anyways, what's coming out sooner rather than later? Did it already come out? No, it's launching sooner than this will come out. This service will come out before Death Stranding, I can say with 100% confidence. And that's Disney Plus, Ivan. Yes,
sure.
Brotendo. Can we talk about Disney Plus and or video games? Brotendo, we're talking about Disney Plus right now. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast and telling us what to do. It's great. Let's talk about the Disney Plus service, Ivan. It was announced last week, and I wanted to discuss it with you because it seems, the more I read about it, it seems like a very enticing service. It's going to cost you either $6.99 a month or $70 a year, right? Or $69.99. Of course, could they have picked a better number for a Disney pricing? $69.69. That would be hilarious.
Which does break down to $5.83.
Right. Yeah. So you can get a huge, well, not that much of a discount. You can get a $10 discount if you go for the annual service, or you could just pay $7 a month for what seems, you think about, you're like, oh, Disney, I don't necessarily watch anything about Disney, or at least this is from my perspective. But then I started thinking about it. Holy crap, they've got Pixar movies, they've got Marvel movies, they've got Star Wars, they've got all these things, right? So it seems like a pretty enticing deal if you're into watching these. And on top of that, at the bottom of this, let me bring up this article from Yahoo Finance. Let's get it. Hold on. I know how to do this. Boom. Of course, they compare it to other services, but they're also bringing The Simpsons down here somewhere. I lost it. Okay. They're bringing The Simpsons to the Disney Plus service, all of the seasons of The Simpsons, and it seems like Disney Plus is going to overtake Netflix, or at least take a huge chunk out of the streaming service pie, as it were. What do you think about this? Is there room for more competition? Or
I think that they're going to make the room. I think Disney is willing to take a huge hit. So let's say Disney owns ESPN.
Yeah.
They just had
I didn't know that. Okay.
ESPN Plus come out, and they were like, we're going to lose $650 million over the next 2 years, but this is going to be the way forward in terms of how sports broadcasting will be valuable in the 21st century post 2012,
Yeah.
So when we have Netflix come about strongly, we have Hulu coming about strongly, kids aren't watching things on the channels, the basic channels or whatever, so ESPN has to adapt and can't just be the same show it's always been, right? So with their flagship programming like SportsCenter, which is what I was really referring to. So ESPN Plus is a way for them to kind of... Ooh, wow, excuse me. I did have tonic and gin earlier.
Nice.
Because I got gin from this past weekend. I didn't get into it. And so, nice. Wow, that was unexpected. But
gross.
ESPN Plus was a way for them to do that. And so they looked at the strategy there and looked at Hulu, a recent acquisition as well, in part at least. And then we're like, we have models for successful streaming services that we're going to push in all of our avenues. We've watched Netflix take our content as flagship content to promote their services, and we could be making that revenue with all of the things that we produce, because of the non-Netflix, like Netflix presents shows and movies, I guarantee you that Disney products are the number one things that people watch, outside of maybe like Friends or something.
On average, for sure, yeah.
And so now you have Marvel movies,
because
Disney movies,
throwing
Pixar
Marvel
movies.
in there, right? Yeah.
All of those movies, the shows, and then Star Wars integrated into that. And you take these huge franchises and you're like, you can watch all these movies on our service. Plus, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make shows just for our programming based on these franchises that you love. You love Star Wars? You love Boba Fett? Boom. Here's a show called The Mandalorian, created by Jon Favreau, and we're dumping $100 million into it for 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a juggernaut right out the gate.
Yeah. It's literally just a I'm assuming $1 billion company. It might as well be. I think Apple is the $1 trillion company, right? The first $1 trillion company, but Disney is probably close behind if you think in the grand scheme of things, right? So they're just literally throwing money at this whole streaming service market. They're just throwing massive amounts of money in hopes that they can just eventually engulf and absorb everything else, I'm guessing. So the way Netflix has sort of they came out, I don't know, they were pretty much the first popular streaming service of the past 10 years, right? I think they've been around.
I'd say
for 10
Hulu
years.
was first, and then
Hulu was
Netflix.
first, but I would say Netflix is vastly more popular. If you can just see in this graphic, Hulu has 25 million subscribers, but Netflix has 139 million subscribers. So they managed to market themselves much better than Hulu. Not to mention they have ad-free service from the basic subscription service, which I think is nice, at least. And then they started. They originally, Netflix started out as pretty much just like a movie service where you just stream movies to your devices, well, eventually devices, or you could rent them physically, and that was cool.
As you remember, it started as a DVD rental
right,
service.
yeah, exactly.
So Hulu was the streaming service, and Netflix was the DVD rental service that knocked out Blockbuster, basically. Mm-hmm. And then the executives at Netflix saw what Hulu was doing is like, we can do that with our content. Mm-hmm. And so they started making all these contracts to stream other people's content, because Netflix didn't provide their own programming for a long time when they were making the transition from DVD to streaming and then streaming their own content.
Right. So we saw the DVD market just pretty much collapse, right? It almost doesn't exist anymore compared to streaming services, which I think you and I agree that that's a bad thing. Not specifically DVDs, but just physical media for watching films and TV shows. And we discussed
especially
that
for
last
movies.
2
I mean,
weeks
the
ago,
quality of a movie between a stream service movie and a Blu-ray or 4K Ultra HD, it's just the quality is
exactly
bananas different.
Right. And so Netflix then started making a lot of money and then started reinvesting it into their own services, making their services better, but also making content that you could only watch on Netflix. And so that's really what helped Netflix grow to this 139 million subscriber base of people that watch Netflix stuff. They've got Stranger Things, all these different shows that are making a lot of money for Netflix. And so that's how they've decided to branch out. They've decided to have their own content. Disney, on the other hand, is like, oh, we have all this content. Let's just start streaming it, or provide a streaming service. And so I think that's how because Disney owns literally all the content that's on, except for maybe The Simpsons. I'm not sure about that. Maybe they do.
Well, they own through Fox.
Oh, yeah. Crap. Okay, so because Disney is such a large company, that's how they're able to have such low prices for their subscription service, because they own all of the crap that's on their service. And I say crap, but it's actually, some of it's really cool. All the Star Wars movies, are you kidding me? That's amazing.
I think the other thing is they're designing their price structure to price out other companies.
Yeah, that too. It's like the Walmart approach.
It's the same way that DSL are the modern way the internet is provided, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before this, we had a whole plethora of these small companies that were ISPs, internet service providers. But then major telecommunication companies were like, we can provide a faster speed at a reduced price. All you have to do is join us. And so they blanketed out
capitalism
the market
at its finest.
grew to such a gigantic space that they were then able to up their pricing because none of these smaller ISPs existed to compete with them. So now we have these like mini monopolies in different areas where in where I am, I can only basically get Spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really get other ISPs.
Yeah, me too. I only have Optimum.
Exactly, because all of the smaller ISPs were deleted.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of... so the thing is, you have these enticing prices at a lower rate to start, but then once you get hooked, then they can start raising the prices. And that's what happened with Netflix, too.
Exactly.
If you remember, Netflix, the original pricing was like $9.99 a month for both DVDs and streaming.
Yeah.
And then they cut that so that you would have to select or pay a slightly higher premium. And now they have 3 different modes: that standard, basic, standard, and premium. And they can continue to increase or monkey with the prices because they have such a huge market share.
Yeah. No, that's exactly why I canceled my Netflix subscription, because I saw the price raising and I hadn't used it in like 4 or 5 months. So I just gave them $60 for no reason. Literally no reason. No one who had access to my account even used my account. So I didn't use Netflix at all. So I gave them $60 for no reason. So I canceled it, and I'll probably renew it when Stranger Things comes out for a month, and then I'll watch it, and then I'll cancel it again. So what about you, Yvonne? Do you think Disney Plus, are you going to invest in this, or at least for a month? Maybe you can get a free month when it starts. Actually, that's a good point. A lot of these services try to get you in by, they just ask for your credit card information, but we're not going to charge you for the first month. Don't worry, it's on us. And then you forget about it. It's
usually like a 7-day, 2-week trial period.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes maybe like in a year you could get a month free. We'll see. But are you interested at all in any of this content on Disney Plus?
I don't think I am for Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it would be a serious conversation I would have to have with Laura.
Yeah.
If we got it, but at the same time, I would be also starting to question whether my Netflix subscription would be, enough. Like, I hate 60 to 80% of the Netflix original content that exists there. I think it's garbage that they're putting up there so that they have a back catalog. The fact that Disney is creating their own streaming service, is the power of it is because their back catalog is probably the strongest content catalog.
Yeah, they just have all the Star Wars
movies,
all the Pixar movies. Okay, that's good.
All the Marvel movies, all the Fox TV shows. You can tune in and watch Malcolm in the Middle, The Simpsons, the Star Wars trilogy, second Star Wars trilogy, and eventually the third Star Wars trilogy, all in the same week.
Right. It's going to be crazy. I agree with you on the Netflix content. I think a lot of it is crap, personally, in my personal opinion. Or at least, I'm not interested in it all. But and as Brotendo says, I think they're filling out and like you said, Yvonne, they're sort of filling out just sort of fluff. Oh, we have all of this content. Well, don't you know watch how many hours of this crap? But then they're slowly taking off all of the good stuff. All the stuff I joined Netflix for was like, oh, they have a large selection of movies I'm kind of interested in. A lot of foreign movies, a lot of old movies, a lot of movies that I liked from my childhood. So they're slowly getting rid of a lot of the movie content because they don't necessarily see any value in it. No one's watching it, maybe. I don't know.
No, that's not it.
It's not it?
The value of a streaming service is creating your own content, because when you create the content, you own the rights to it and never have to pay for it again.
Right, no, exactly.
So when Netflix started as a streaming service, they had to pay out all these contracts and pay per view for whatever media was being consumed, even if it was like, I don't know the exact content of the things, but imagine like somebody watches a Stars movie, because Stars is a big contract with Netflix when they started. At one point, it was supposed to save Netflix as a streaming service. You don't remember, but Netflix had these strong contracts when they started. All these media companies were like, wait, you're making how much money on this? And you're taking away our pay-per-view services? Mm-hmm. No, we're not signing these contracts. And so the contracts lapsed, and a lot of the great stuff that we had joined Netflix for was evaporating, just like now. But then Netflix had new contracts that they signed with other promoters like Stars and other places, and those movies really saved Netflix. Mm-hmm. So now we have the Netflix where like we can't be beholden to other people pulling their content or not renewing a contract or having to pay for people watching 5 minutes of a movie and then do that for 20 different movies and have to pay other people for each of those 5-minute segments.
Yeah, exactly. So, Brotendo, to your question, Yvonne just basically explained it. But, I mean, the reason why Robot Chicken isn't on Netflix anymore is because Cartoon Network owns that show, I'm assuming, or Adult Swim, right? So, and they don't want people paying Netflix and not paying the cable providers, which eventually pay Cartoon Network, and advertisers as well. They don't want people paying Netflix to watch their show. They want people paying their cable providers to watch ads that run on their shows. So that's how they make money, right? Or that's part of the revenue.
Cartoon Network is a Warner Brothers company.
Oh crap! Didn't know that.
So that is Warner Brothers, like the Adult CBS Corporation, and things like that. So CBS has their own streaming service that they've had live for a while, like CBS Access. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah, and they're bringing in new shows to be flagship shows too, like Jordan Peele's renewed. He's going to be the host of the Twilight Zone. That's a CBS Access only show.
Whoa!
So they're starting to create flagship shows that are only for their streaming service, which you'll have to pay, and I think it's like $7.99 a week or a month, rather.
Well, okay, so it seems like all of these different services are competing literally for our time and money, right? You only have so many hours in the day. So is it worth it to get all of these services? Which one do you pick? And then the other side of it is how are the, and maybe you can't answer this question, Yvonne, and I certainly can't. How are the how's the side of the actor and the movie producer and things like that? Are they actually making money on the movies that they're filming and all the good press? For instance, the Stranger Things kids, are they making money? Are they being treated well by Netflix? I don't know.
Well, those are slightly different conversations.
Yeah, I know they're different.
The more money that gets pumped into a production, the nicer everything is for that production. You have higher quality, higher budgets for CGI, graphics, actors, all of the crew, and all of those things. The real question is, how do distribution rights tie into how people are paid? This was, if you remember, like in the early mid 2000s, I think around the time we were graduating from high school or going to college, there was that writer's strike.
Yeah, I remember that. the
so
SAG,
the writer's strike.
Yeah. Something like that. I don't remember exactly why, but
yeah, the writer's strike that lasted. It was 2007 to 2008. The Writers Guild of America, all of them went on strike. And the major reason for that was that they didn't feel that they were getting fairly compensated for the online distribution of their material. And so as we get further and further and further into these kinds of distribution schemes, right? So when creators made Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in like the mid 20th century, they had no idea that people would be able to stream it on their iPhone while they were taking a shit. Right?
Exactly.
So maybe some of the older contracts are slightly different or not scaled to this. I don't know exactly how the percentages and distribution rights and all that fits into each other. But as we continue growing technologically, we're going to have to adjust how those contracts are created and how things are balanced. And if things aren't balanced correctly, it can lead to another strike of a variety of laborers, whether it's the Writers Guild or whether it is some sort of crew or other group of people's actors have unions. So we have to really take time to not like throw our ability to like nudge the market in a better direction for creators away.
Mm-hmm.
We really have to think about what does it mean that huge corporations are buying up all of these properties and then come and are able to create distribution platforms.
Brotendo says, I like Hulu. Says, you like Hulu, don't you, Juju? I'm not, I actually have no stake in any of the, I guess I technically have Amazon Prime Video. I also want to cancel my Amazon Prime account. I don't have any of these services anymore except for technically Amazon Prime Video, which is total ass. But if you like Hulu, go for it.
It's not, actually.
Is it?
I like Amazon
you like
Prime
it?
Video.
I don't watch anything on it, but I also haven't looked through their catalog, I guess.
Sopranos are on there. It's pretty good.
All right. I just don't really like TV
for HBO,
shows, man.
and I can still watch The Sopranos.
That's pretty
They have
nice.
a lot of movies that they make that I think tend to be of a higher quality, and they're making more. I will say this for all streaming service. Well, not all streaming, but streaming services like Netflix and Amazon, is that the space that was evacuated by the major studios of making like the $30 million, $60 million budget movie, that space has been taken over by streaming services.
Okay.
So it is allowing for some filmmakers to make movies that aren't Captain America versus Galactus's cock, because you can't fight the whole of Galactus because that's an Avengers movie. It's like you don't have to have a multi-million-dollar comic book movie or a $12 million movie that's basically everybody's doing pro bono. You have these middle-range movies that can be made through Netflix or through Amazon. Like, you've seen a lot of more independent movies. Now, what I will say is that then actual independent movies, which are made on a more shoestring budget or independently funded, etc., and then they try to get promoted through Amazon or other places to be able to be streamed, and then Amazon is like, fuck you, we're going to promote our own Amazon Studios content that we're going to label independent and not yours. So there is like some sketchiness to it, but there is a space that is created by Netflix and Amazon, which is nice, but it also excludes other independent producers. So it's kind of like we are champions of independent movies and filmmakers, and then actual independent filmmakers who are making guerrilla movies or other things that are really hard to make aren't getting promoted because they're not Amazon Studio productions.
No, it's an interesting time we live in with all these streaming services. But you're right. I do appreciate that Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and I guess Disney now These are really the big streaming services. Obviously, there are different streaming services other than these four, but these are the juggernauts out there, right? They are paving. They're sort of like Winston taking room for his team, taking that space so his team can move up. So they are creating enough space and funding it as well, so that a middle ground in terms of movies can be made. So it's not just Marvel or Star Wars coming out high budget, but you are getting these lower budget movies, and giving some directors and screenwriters a voice, which is it's obviously good to give people a chance.
Which could lead to
Hungover gaming the movie
house, maybe. But I was thinking more like, if Disney and Fox wanted them to build the space for indie products that could be launched on their Disney Plus platform, then they don't always have to be huge Marvel movies, huge Star Wars movies, huge whatever franchise movies. You can actually have the space to have those middle or smaller budget films be put through the Disney Plus system.
Yeah, I think that's really great.
It is an intriguing space.
Also, another thing that people benefit from on the production side is that, at least on Netflix, for comedians, there's a huge audience there for people who can watch the Netflix specials that, for instance, I know Dave Chappelle had a couple, and of course he's a huge name comedian, but it's a big deal. I think Netflix does fund a lot of comedians on their
they found a space for the comedy
special, stand-up comedy at least.
Yeah, and they noticed that there was a lack of those being produced, and they
because Comedy
really
Central
capitalized, pumped a shit ton of money into that space.
So Comedy Central was it still exists obviously, but it was pretty much the only place for comedians to go to get TV specials and make some money off of releasing a recording of their comedy, other than selling just the audio, which is pretty funny on its own. I've listened to some stand-up specials just on the audio before, and if you do it on the train, you just end up cracking up, and people have no idea why. So it's a little awkward to do in public, but it's a nice way to kill time. What's up, Fresh the Rabbit? Also in the chat, how are you? So I think that's a really good service that Netflix at least provides. I don't know if Hulu or Amazon Prime have any comedians that are featured on their services, but I definitely think that Disney Plus will not have that type of thing, because it'll be too crude humor for Disney, I think. A lot of comedians anyways. Not maybe Jerry Seinfeld could be on Disney Plus. That would be funny. And he would totally sign that.
There are some niche markets that everybody can kind of fill in their corner, which is why Hulu, even though it's a significantly worse service for many reasons, like ads and things, still exists.
Yeah.
Because it's the only streaming service that kind of allows you to watch new things rather than back catalogs.
Exactly. Streaming services. So where do you see... How do you see these numbers fluctuating, right? We have 139 million for Netflix, 25 million for Hulu, 100 million plus for Amazon, and 90 million plus for Disney right now. How do you see these numbers changing in the next couple years?
Well, if we look at how the stock market reacted to Disney's announcement of Disney Plus, the stock rose more than 11%.
Get on
which
Disney.
Means that
it's too late.
investors are like, wow, this is a great thing that they're doing.
Of course it is. Yeah.
I think Disney coming onto the market is great for Disney. It's probably going to be crappy for Netflix and Amazon, but it also does that thing where now we're having more and more a la carte picking and choosing, or you have to buy all these different things. And then at some point you're like, wait, I could buy cable for $120 a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I have to pay $12.99 for Netflix, $5.99 for Hulu, $8.99 for Amazon Prime if I'm just doing the video, and then $6.99 a month for Disney. Oh wait, I really want to watch Game of Thrones. All right, throw that's $15 more a month. So at some point, it's just gonna total up. Like if you really sit back and look at it, you're gonna be like, wow, I should just go back to cable.
No, I think it's a meme now. Eventually, I mean, yeah, you just mentioned 4 or 5 services, right? And they're all at least $10. If on average they're like $10 a pop, right? So, someone memed that eventually a company is going to come around and just gather them all together, all for one price, and then you just got cable all over again. And so that I think that's a real thing that might actually happen. Eventually, there will be a service that just, will charge you for all of them, and maybe at a reduced price, and then.
But now we think about, okay, well, cable is seeing an uptick because there are 16 different services that people are buying from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We could see a greater uptick if we reduced the throughput rate on all these other sites. And
are you
increase
saying
the
net
throughput
neutrality?
rate of our cable sites, and then you can watch cable
bitch.
on the internet.
Holy shit, they figured out how to take advantage of the internet through net neutrality not existing. Professor Rabbit says that's exactly what his converging media professor said. I'd actually be interested. Oh my god, no. I'd be interested in your opinion on. I would assume you're on everyone's side, the internet side of net neutrality. Wow, your cable provider is red. It has the internet access. So it's a lot of. It's going to be a headache going forward, but I could totally see Disney gobbling up Hulu first, is basically where this is going.
They buy... Disney bought Fox, and Fox had a owning stake in Hulu, didn't they?
Yeah. I that was a huge strategic purchase for them. Old man, back in 1970, I fought in the war, on Xbox or PlayStation. Oh. That's funny. I fought in the war. Did you fight on which side did you take, Xbox or PlayStation? Anyways, yeah. So
that's not going to be anywhere near as fierce as fierce of a fight as it will be between Netflix, Amazon, Disney.
Yeah, that's
really going to be like. That's going to be
I see Disney picking off the stragglers first, so Hulu's going, man. I'm sorry, guys. I know you guys like your Hulu, but you gotta watch. Is Psych still on Hulu, or was it ever on Hulu? It was on Hulu, right?
I don't know. I own all of the
That's a
DVDs.
good point. It was a good show. But yeah, I hope R.I.P. Hulu. Old me, PC fat. Anyways, so look. I'm glad there's more competition out there. I think it can only really benefit the consumer at this point. As I think Disney coming into the market here will either force Netflix to lower their prices, or Disney will start getting some of their content. People will jump ship from Netflix to Disney eventually. Once Disney starts branching out from content they don't own, I'm guessing they will eventually. Or maybe people will start jumping ship from Netflix to Hulu or Amazon Prime. We'll see. And I think that competition will help in the short term, at least, for the consumer. I think that either it'll lower prices or you'll see content switch platforms to a lower priced platform. And then in the long term, I think it's really going to end up being Disney engulfing every single company under the sun, and that's bad for competition because then competition doesn't exist.
The real question there is like Disney Plus being announced. Everybody was like 11% stock raise. All this is awesome. Apple is like, we're launching a streaming service.
Wait,
and everybody's like,
who
what?
are you? Who are you?
What? You don't own anything. What are you gonna launch a streaming service that's just like a rotating iPod?
It's so
I don't
funny.
understand.
It's so funny because Apple is actually the biggest of all of those companies, and just people just shrug them off when it comes to this type of thing, right? It's so funny. Because Apple is a $1 trillion company. They have more money than Disney does. That's crazy to think about. But they don't have the content to back it up. They just make hardware. And so they need these services to work on their products, but they certainly don't need their own thing, I think. And it can't exist.
I don't know. If Apple's streaming service follows the example of what Apple's app conglomerate service is going to be, then they've just they've completely lost the.
You mean like the Apple Arcade?
Lost
Plus?
the plot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Apple has been in talks about getting into the gaming industry and things like that for a very long time. So it's interesting that they come out at the pretty much within the same time as Google and Disney Plus. Google, obviously, we talked about 2 weeks ago with their gaming streaming service, and Disney Plus now with their content here. So it's interesting that Apple sort of lost the spotlight on both of their big pushes towards streaming content, streaming media. So that really sucks for them, and I'm sure. I don't know. I don't understand the stock market that well, but I'm pretty sure their stocks probably dipped and then fluctuated, and they're probably just staying level right now. Does Apple have a streaming service? Yes. Or wait, no, I'm not sure exactly on that. But
Apple announced that they're going to be making one.
They're going to make one eventually, Brotendo 12. Do you think
they
Leafy
marched
died?
on a bunch of celebrities? It's Apple TV Plus.
Right, I mean, sorry, not Netflix. iTunes as a service, you can buy movies on it and TV shows, some TV shows. So I could see them having some content to back it up, but
they're going to be doing the Netflix strategy of making a lot of their own content, but at the same time, it's just like if you don't. So the lesson to be learned from Netflix and Hulu and a lot of these services is that it's important to have flagship programming to bring people to your streaming service.
Yeah.
But if you cannot provide them a shit ton of garbage to just put on in the background while you do something, then there's no reason for people to keep coming back. And if that garbage doesn't fulfill their needs, then they will stop subscribing.
Mm-hmm.
So Apple is trying to quickly build a catalog, but Apple's getting into the game really late compared to where Netflix has so much establishment. Amazon has the thing where it's Amazon Prime are already built into their subscriber numbers. And Disney has just a tremendous catalog. So Apple has the hardest hill to climb, and they have, I think, the worst creative direction of any of these companies at present.
Yeah, you're right in what you say. You have to get them through the door with something that the customer will really like to watch, and then you have to keep them there somehow. So, like you said, Amazon Prime is great in that, if you just have Amazon Prime, you have access to Amazon Prime Video. And it provides this extra service with free shipping and discounts on certain things, which is nice for people who buy a lot of things on Amazon. Disney has people through the door because all the Disney movies, Star Wars, Marvel, and The Simpsons, that's great. And they'll keep them there because they have all of Fox's back catalog of random TV shows like Malcolm in the Middle. And then Netflix has the same thing going on pretty much with Stranger Things and what have you.
Well, it was House of Cards.
It
and
was,
Stranger
yeah.
Things,
and
and it
then
has
House of
those
Cards
movies
is
that
bad
come
now.
out that are actually garbage, but people are like, "Oh my God, did you see Bird Box? It was so incredible." No, it's garbage.
That's your opinion, Yvonne. And then Hulu is just cheap. No, I'm kidding.
Hulu is just cheap.
I know.
Hulu is cheap,
exactly.
and you get to watch shows that you can't access anywhere else because they don't come there.
Exactly. So you have to provide. So that's where Brotendo, I think you talked about UI and user interface a little earlier in the chat. Right, so you have to make your service super easy to use as well. If I can't boot up Netflix and then almost immediately start watching something that I wanted to watch, like Stranger Things just comes out, it has to be like 30 seconds from the time I open Netflix to when I'm watching the first episode. So or otherwise people are going to get frustrated and probably not use it, right? So that's another huge software engineering side of things. Good thing Captain Video just came into the chat. What's up? How are you? He's our resident software engineer. The question is, will Hungover Podcast be streaming on Disney Plus? Well,
no, we're going to be we're going to be opening up our own streaming service.
We're a Vimeo exclusive,
Hungover
actually.
Streaming.
Yeah, the Hungover Podcast service. Yeah, that's it. That would be amazing. But yeah, so the software side of things it has to work well. I'm assuming Disney Plus is going to work very well because they're rich. Disney's a rich company. They can invest a lot of money into things. So Amazon Prime is pretty much. Do they have an app, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah. They have an app,
okay.
And one of the nice
well.
things about Amazon Prime is you can download videos.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
They were one of the first people to start doing that. Now
and
lot of
Netflix
jumped
can do that onto that bandwagon, right? I remember hearing about that.
YouTube, you can do that. So I'm I am a YouTube Red subscriber.
Mm-hmm.
My family has a Netflix account, a Hulu account.
Oh, nice.
An HBO account. So at this point, we're spending too much money.
Nintendo's going to start his own streaming service. Well, the other thing is that if you can, or at least I know specifically how Netflix's works, right? You can have multiple people use your account at once, depending on how much you pay. So that's nice. You can have like a family account, as your family does, which is nice. That's a really enticing service for families. It saves a couple bucks on every month, and everyone gets to watch the shows that they want to watch. So I don't know how Disney's going to do it, but hopefully, I would assume they're so family oriented in their content, or at least up front a lot of their content is. I don't know exactly all in their catalog, but yeah, so they must have some sort of family plan in the works. So hopefully we'll get more information about that if they haven't already announced it. And then Amazon, I think, has a similar thing going on. I'm not sure how Hulu works though. So yeah, these are all things that do matter. The little things do matter from day to day, like if you're using these services a lot. So that's gonna be another thing that comes up. So I wanted
the biggest battle that's coming up is not just the streaming services, but the streaming services and the ISPs.
Yes, you're right.
Let's say Amazon is a $1 trillion company who's like, wow,
well, Jeff Bezos
we're really far behind in the
himself.
game. Please let us have a higher throughput rate so our shows are faster and load better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pay this much more money. Sure, our market cap is $1 trillion, no problem. Boom.
Boom. Brotendo, goodbye. Wait, before I go, the just chatting directory on Twitch is in weird. Yes, that's a sentence. Anyways, I'm glad you enjoyed the podcast, Brotendo. You're really one of our supporters. Thank you so much. I think we've discussed this for long enough, Yvonne. Tell us in the comment section below if you're watching the YouTube video what you think about Disney Plus and whether or not you're going to get it. I know Captain Vidya is one of these 90 million plus subscribers already. He loves Disney. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast, everyone. We had a great time discussing it with you guys, because you can get this podcast live on twitch.tv/GGBsgood. The link is in the description below. But we end our podcasts every single week in a song in a segment called Hungover Radio. This is where you, the listener, can send in your music to gaminghungover@gmail.com. And we can play it at the end of the timed out Brotendo. God damn it. Why are we timing out Brotendo? Please talk about things only relevant to the podcast. Damn. Enforcing the law. Let's go, Captain Vidya. Let's go. It's all right. Anyways, that's why you're the best moderator in the chat. Let's go. Except for Fresh Rabbit, who's still in the chat. Anyways, and Yvonne. I'm kidding. Everyone's the best moderator. We're going to play, if no one sends in a song anyways, you're the worst moderator by a mile. I get to pick one. And anyways, the whole idea is that if you send in your music, we'll play it and we'll link it out. It's free advertisement for you. You get it. Okay. If that doesn't happen, I pick a video game song. Today, I've picked Tetris 99 main theme because I was thinking about that game recently for some reason. So I'm excited to play this for you. Hope you guys enjoy it. And thank you so much for doing this podcast with me, Yvonne. I'm glad you enjoyed the topic.
Yeah, it's fun, dude.
Anyways, we'll catch you guys next week. Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.